Welcome back to Tournament Center here at Pro Tour Nagoya. Rich Hagan, Brian David Marshall with you. It's draft viewer time. Now, usually we'll follow one player through. Of course, on draft viewer, you can look at everyone's picks all the way. What we're going to do is look at the very first pick of the draft for the whole of Table 1, first thing this morning. So we begin with Mr. Jeremy Neiman of Australia. So here we go, first pick, Armed with Ether, Evil Presence, Gitaxian Probe, Hovermere, round we go. We've got a Spine Thopter this.
I like the Trespassing Soul Eater. To me, looking at this first pack, the best card is Beast Within.
So 2 and a green, instant, destroy anything in sight, and you get a 3/3. Good enough for constructed in multiple
Right,
decks.
and it's also it's a defensive, it's a removal spell, but it's also an instant speed creature on your side of the table, eating a land. I love it. What do you like in this pack?
Well, I mean, I was pretty unexcited by it as a pack as a whole, because you want to open an exciting rare, you want to open an exciting
I want to open
piece
exciting
of removal.
uncommons. I like Beast Within.
Okay, it turns out that Jeremy does not go for Beast Within. He takes the Spine Thopter.
Spine Thopter.
Now, of course, what is interesting about this is because it's Phyrexian mana, there is no color commitment there whatsoever. He can do anything he likes, and he knows that for just 2 mana and a couple of life, he's going to get a 2/1 flyer into his deck. And a 2/1 flyer for 2 mana belongs in every deck ever.
And interestingly, the keeping himself open, I'm looking at his deck list right here, he ends up being red-white.
Yep.
He does play the Spine Thopter, and he's able to play his first pick. He's able to build a strategy around it, aggressive, cheap creatures, flyers, and not abandon his first pick, even though blue might not be there for him.
So that's pick 1 for Jeremy Neiman, player 1. He passes to his left to Tsuyoshi Fujita of Japan. Let's take a look at the pack there. Forced Worship, nice 3/1 blue flyer, mutagenic growth. Couple of nice white cards, the Shattered Angel.
I really like the Shattered Angel a lot. I'm also a big fan of the white Infect strategy. I know Luis Scott Vargas is laughing at me somewhere since he thinks that Infect is not very playable right now, but I think Shriek Raptor's a terrific card. Pith Driller, going by what we talked about in the first pack that we looked at, where you're keeping yourself open. Pith Driller is just great. There's so many 1 toughness creatures right now.
And there are so few times you actually see this beyond the first pick. This goes first an awful lot of the time.
Yeah, I really like this card here.
However...
Well, this is the card I would pick.
Oh look, it's a Phyrexian Metamorph. And we saw, again, so much you can do with it in Constructed, but in Limited, it's the best creature on the battlefield every time.
It's your best creature or artifact, or your opponent's best creature or artifact. We've seen all sorts of interactions with it in Constructed and in Limited. Paulo was telling a story about seeing it. Someone copied his Glissa that he had in Limited with their Phyrexian Metamorph and didn't realize the interaction. They hadn't listened to our preview show, obviously, where they could have gotten his Phyrexian Metamorph back when it copied Glissa.
And it's even the kind of card that something like Remember the Fallen, you get back a creature, and this is your artifact, and then it's again the best creature.
Or this is your creature, and something else is your artifact. So.
Indeed. So Tsuyoshi takes the Phyrexian Metamorph. Let's go to player number 3.
And Vegeta ends up being, I just want to talk for a little bit about his deck, because Vegeta 3-0'd this table.
Okay.
Right, he went 6-0 in draft. His 6-0 in draft in his 3rd and 4th drafts with the new Phyrexia set.
Yes.
So, and he was
good.
very, very aggressive. He was taking cards like Gust Skimmer very high. He was taking Trespassing Soul Eaters and Immolating Soul Eaters. He took a Spire Serpent 3rd pick in the Mirrored and Besieged pack. He windmill slammed Concussive Bolt onto the table. He had Metalcraft halfway through pack 1. So he was very much a red-blue Metalcraft, very, very aggressive strategy. Very interesting to watch. I urge you to sit down in his seat in the draft viewer and watch what he did. It was fascinating. Okay,
next up, Fabian Thieler of Germany. Psychic Barrier, Big Phyrexian Hulk, Alloy Mirror over there, Blighted Agent, that's an interesting card, 1/1 Infect, got a Thundering Pteranodon, Vulshot Refugee.
What are you doing?
What?
Why are we talking about anything other than Life's Finale here?
Oh, hello.
Like, there's no point to talking about any other card. You open up a Wrath of God effect in Limited, you take the Wrath of God.
And just so we're clear, this is Wrath of God plus. because not only do you destroy all the creatures, you get to look through their library, bonus information, you get to pull out their best 3 remaining things, and by the time you cast this...
Blah, 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 blah. You kill everything, you play the creatures you've been holding, and you kill them.
Okay, let's
no
drum
question
roll.
that's the pick.
Drum roll, let's see what he picks.
Yeah.
Shockingly enough, it was Life's Finale. Yeah, and it turns out that's a good indication that Teela's quite good at Magic.
Yes,
and
he understood that.
Yeah, and he went 2-1 in this draft.
He ended up being blue, black, and red because he also opened up a Red Sun Zenith in the second pack, and he just
Be rude not to.
he just was not willing to not play that card. So played 3 colors. His deck looked very good.
Next up, Gaudenus Vidugaris, or as you would pronounce it,
Vidugaris.
Vidugaris. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. Sensor Splicer, Pristine Talisman, another of the big artifacts. 2-1.
I really like the Fallen Ferromancer.
Okay, now it takes a lot to get me interested in a 4-mana 1-1, but I'm not gonna lie. Every time I open this guy, I'm like, thank you you so much.
This is basically like a Vidalcan Anatomist for red.
Yep.
Costs a little less to use. It doesn't tap the creature, but you can also do damage to players. You only need to do 10 pings to kill them.
I was going to say, just for newer players, don't forget that it dealing 1 damage, just because it isn't attacking, the 1 damage is still in effect. Right. So you're putting the counter on the opposing creature. Really, really nice card.
I love this card.
Now,
I like Geth's Verdict also. I mean, it's a card that I'm really surprised seeing go late.
Now, the thing with Geth's Verdict, because I loved it 4 days ago, but it seems increasingly like in the draft format, the board gets bogged down with creatures, and once you're past turn 3 or 4, actually most people have a creature they don't desperately mind losing, and you're not going to get that big 6/5/4 artifact guy late.
And watching the sort of we've talked about, this grindy strategy. We've seen a lot of the pros employing in this draft format. That involves your early drops being things like Oculus, or the mirror that gives you another mirror when it goes to the graveyard.
Yeah, Mirror Sire.
Thank you.
Really good.
So the cards that you're going to be sacrificing to this, you're playing a little cannon fodder in the early game.
So we would
this card has been going fairly late.
Yeah, so we would
I
think
also really like
not.
Pristine Talisman.
But he doesn't pick any of those. This is an interesting one. He ends up with Thundering Tanadon. Now, I'm surprised at that. Not because 5/4 Trampler for 4 isn't really good. It obviously is, because you can play it for just 4 mana, forget the life. But it's so vulnerable. The number of times you see people with the smiley, the frowny face when they play 4 for that, and then, I'm just gonna get rid of it because it's an artifact.
The thing is, if you're gonna play Thunder and Tanadon, you need to be an aggressive deck. You can't play it in the slower decks because your opponent's always gonna have some sort of disenchant effect, some sort of removal effect.
Some Divine Offering, some Scrap Metal.
If you're an aggressive deck and you play this on turn 3, you play another one on turn 4, that's really fun. By the way, I just want to point out another card that was really interesting in this pack is Whip Flare. Mm-hmm. So this is essentially a Pyroclasm for non-artifact creatures.
Yes.
This is a very, very interesting card. Went around the table very, very late and played no small role in COC Fujita going 3-0 at this table.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those cards that can be extremely disappointing. I mean, is it a main deck card, Whip Flare, would you say?
Certainly, you see people playing, you can build your deck so that it doesn't affect you. You can build your deck so that it doesn't affect you. And, people are going to have 2/2 flyers that are white, Serum Reekers. They're going to have all sorts of stuff. It might not get everything, but it's going to get, you play an Arc Trail and it gets 2 creatures, even if this just gets 2 creatures. This card's really good. I'm surprised more people are playing it and drafting it higher.
Next up, Loviansa from Sweden. Let's have a look here. We've got a Mutagenic Growth, Gremlin Mine, nice piece of artifact removal. Very, very nice card. By the way,
I love this card.
Big game winner.
But I like this card more.
Oh, really?
I love Leeching Bite. It's one of my favorite cards.
Does it? That seems really counterintuitive, because this, to me, Triumph of the Hordes, says, I've got some guys, oh, look, I've won.
Yes.
That actually says, oh, look, I've won. And this says, ha ha, combat trick.
Sure.
Why do you prefer that?
Well, again, you might not be playing heavy green. You might be playing a different kind of deck.
Sure.
I really like this card. I got to tell you, the card that is really surprising to me here, that also is Mind Calling, is a terrific card. It's Probe with Kicker.
Ah, nice way of looking at it.
Right?
Yeah.
It's 6 mana. You draw 2 cards. Target opponent discards 2 cards. Again, at 6 mana, a lot of our end game hasn't even begun to hit the board yet from some of the decks we've seen.
Okay.
I think that this is a card, if I'm playing at a top table with top players, I want that card.
None of those cards are picked by Lobian, so let's see what is.
Oh, what about Porcelain Legionnaire? Was it?
It's not even that. It's
What?
Praetor's Grasp. Now, what do you make of that card?
I tell you something. Praetor's Grasp is a card people are sleeping on. I see it go very late in drafts. It is terrific. You can always just take a land from your opponent's deck and play it if you need it. If you have a deck that's splashing colors or has access to mana fixing, then you can play their best spell. If you have any overlap, terrific card. Not the card I would first pick out of this pack.
Now, not necessarily because of that first pick, but I have to tell you that Lobianta was the unlucky guy who went 0-3 in this pod. And he talked to him at the end. He was like, yeah, 7-1 overnight, 7-4 at the end of draft. Not happy.
He ended up being white-black, which is also not necessarily where you want
Not
to
always super exciting.
Bet you he would love to have that Porcelain Legionnaire.
Sure. Let's take a look at Jeffrey Chan now. So what have we got? We've got a Gets Verdict again, Artillerize, big piece of removal.
One of my favorite. I like Artillerize.
There's your lovely Beast Within once again.
Oh my god, another Beast Within.
Spire Monitor over the far end there.
Spire Monitor's a perfectly serviceable first pick. See another Phyrexian Metamorph.
Is there anything in this pack you take over the Metamorph?
I like the Metamorph. I love Artillerize. I love Beast Within. I might take the red card because I'm passing 2 cards that are bluish, but I probably take the Metamorph.
Let's see what Jeffrey Chan does. Yes, there it is. So a second Metamorph in there. Jeffrey Chan goes 1 and 2, but still very much in contention for top 8 because he was, far enough up the field. So X and 3 coming back in to Constructed. We have 2 more players to look at. Logan Nettles is next. Here he is. Phyrexia's Cause being a big pick. Another Spine Thopter that Jeremy Neiman took. It's a Viral Drake. This is a great card over here. The card I guess I'd be most interested in if I wasn't picking the Drake would be the Pith Driller again, because that to me is just automatic removal. If of those two, he's okay. He's off camera, but he's looking at me like I'm an idiot.
No, but Viral Drake is just, to me, the clear best card in this pack.
Okay.
This is we've been calling this card the 1-card combo because you just win with this card all by itself. It takes 5 turns once you play it.
Because it's 1/4, but down here 3 in a blue to proliferate, so you can just go on and on and on. You get
creatures can't interact with it very well if they have less than 3 power.
So I guess, therefore, if I'm LSV, I'm probably going to feel quite pleased because probably Pith Driller is going to come to me second at the very least, and maybe it will go even further because we think, therefore, Logan will take the Viral Drake. Let's see if he does. He does. So the 1/4 poison machine.
Logan spends a lot of time on Magic Online.
Yes.
He knows a thing or two about 1-card combos.
Indeed. Well, maybe the 1-card combo got him his 1 win because he was 1 and 2 in the draft. And
he ended up blue-white.
Okay. And that just leaves Louis Scott Vargas. Here he is. Let's see what life did for him. Flameborn Viren, I think he knows all about that this weekend. Hovermere, we've got Master Splicer. That's a pretty saucy card.
That seems like a great card to take.
If you can make that live. Pestilent Soul Eater. Numbing Dose always goes right at the very, very end of boosters. Vault Scourge, very popular and constructed. Why don't we just go for a kind of classic pick, though? You've got a Volt Charge over here.
I think I might take Master Splicer here.
The kind of just straightforward, oh, look, it's limited. We like to kill creatures. Here's a removal spell. But you like the 4/4 plus the 1/1 for full. I mean, that is tremendous value. You don't expect to get that much out of it. And of course, you get the chance later on. In this deck, in this format, I can tell you there were a ton of sensor splicers going around the field. So suddenly, if you start with that, you're in great shape.
And if I'm Louis Scott Vargas, I know I'm going to have a Hexblade Golem. So my Hexblade Golem gets +1/+1 too.
Okay, absolutely. So there we go. So let's see. We think we're down to Master, and Luis goes, I'm going to take the removal.
Sure. Safe bet every time.
Yeah.
Even if you end up not being red, you can splash it.
And it turned out, therefore, that this, the master splicer, and you can check this on the draft viewer, goes to Jeremy Neiman, and he then gets all those sensor splicers, and that was the foundation of his 2-1 red-white.
He had so many sensor splicers that he was able to ship a 15th pick or 14th pick sensor splicer
he just
to
knew-
Tsuyoshi Fujita. He's like, I don't need this one.
It was full.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are only so many. It turns out that 3's like the limit. There's no room at the end for a 4th.
And Luis Scott Vargas ended up being green-red.
And he was kind of unlucky. He went 1 and 2, and again was disappointed with how that came out. But he was 7-1 overnight, so still in the running at X and 3. So there you have it. That is the draft viewer. That is the first pick. If you want to see the second pick and the third and the fourth, you can go right the way down.
All
see
the way
how
to
they
that
did.
14th pick sensor splicer.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, don't need that anymore. So for now, from the Tournament Centre and the Draft Viewer, for Brian David Marshall, I'm Rich Hagan saying bye.